Over the past 3 decades, tens of thousands of Jewish families and individuals have called one local government area home, the city of Glenara. But what happens when the old traditions break down, when intermarriage rates begin to rise, and a generation of young Australian-born Jews look to new sources of meaning and belonging? In this, the final part of People on the Move, we're asking, what's the future of Melbourne's bagel belt? We're headed to the city of Glenara in the southeastern suburbs, home to beautiful parks, leafy streets, and arguably Melbourne's best challah and bagels. It's also home to more Jewish residents than any other local government area in Australia. Most of them live in the suburbs of Caulfield, Caulfield North and Caulfield South. Lee and his housemates Belle and Jordan are in their early 20s and live in a large share house. Like many of their friends and peers, they've made a conscious choice to move to the heart of their community. Belle grew up in Sydney's North Shore, and when she moved to Melbourne a few years ago, Caulfield was an obvious choice.
I think that I didn't grow up in a Jewish area personally, and moving to Melbourne for me was more connecting to my Judaism in a different way. So it might be a little bit different to my housemates or other people, but I wanted to have my first time of living within the community where most of my friends live. Most of the people I know live in this area, live in and around Caulfield, whether that's surrounding suburbs like Armadale or Malvern, or they're trying to sort of escape a bit so they live in Paran or Windsor, but really they're not really leaving that far. And often they end up coming back because the convenience of having all your friends in one suburb is just too much to leave. Like
Belle, Lee and Jordan say living amidst Melbourne's Jewish community generates a strong sense of kinship and belonging.
Like I said before, there is something about seeing people walk by on a Saturday morning. While I may not necessarily identify with it, I am connecting with it on the sense that they're Jewish, I'm Jewish, and we're all Jewish. What it just means to me is that I'm in a place that I belong. It's a sense of belonging, and I might not want to be waking up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday to go and daven. I do like seeing it. It's something that is very warming to me.
Professor Andrew Markus of Monash University's Australian Centre for Jewish Civilisation has been tracking Australia's Jewish population for several decades. He believes Melbourne's highly concentrated Jewish population has been part of the community's demographic and cultural continuity.
What characterises the Jewish population today, I would say, is not dispersal, but a very high level of concentration. And contrary to expectations, the census would indicate that it is continuing to be concentrated and is growing.
Since 2008, Professor Markus and a team of researchers have surveyed Australia's Jewish population, asking questions about their lives and their attitudes. He says, for the younger cohort, Jewish identity is strengthening rather than weakening.
And again, what Gen 17 tells us, the Gen 17 survey, is amongst young people today, identification actually stronger rather than weaker. So when we compared with some key indicators, even compared Gen 08 and Gen 17, the two Jewish surveys, and we kept constant Jewish identification. So if you were progressive, what does it mean? Or if you're modern Orthodox, what does it mean? And the trend is, what it means is even stronger identification within those streams.
Ash Densham is one of a growing number of young Jews finding new and innovative ways of creating Jewish identity right in the centre of Melbourne's bagel belt. 6 years ago, Ash came together with a group of Jewish friends to create a weekly Jewish congregation that drew from traditional songs, a weekly sermon, and many other traditional rituals and symbols, but with a 21st century dimension.
It was simply that we wanted to start taking steps to create a new Jewish expression that we found meaningful and relevant. And so the first item that we thought was the most approachable and the most accessible to us was Kabbalat Shabbat, which is a service which all of us had found very meaningful in our youth, that it was a time of the week where you'd go to synagogue, and it's the most musical service out of any synagogue service or any prayer throughout the week. The second thing was we want to make it egalitarian, so we'll sit in a circle and everyone's welcome, no matter their gender or their background. And we're singing to each other as opposed to just singing to an abstract being or singing to ourselves. It's singing communally. And so we still retained many of the traditional songs and traditional tunes. We chose songs that we preferred and certain blessings that we preferred, and some new contemporary Israeli songs as well. But foremost, it was about creating this beautiful musical service.
Belle and her housemates are one of hundreds of congregants, both young and old, who regularly attend Kolenu's weekly Kabbalat Shabbat service.
Stepping into Kolenu, the minute you sort of enter the room, you feel like people are there because they want to be there and they're really at peace with sort of where they are. And I really like the Friday night service because I can use it as a time to sort of cleanse from the week or the work week, and then kind of cleanse for the weekend. So take my mind out of whatever was happening during that week and coming into the weekend.
From a handful of friends to over 500 members, Kolenu has grown beyond expectations. And while the congregation must now look for a bigger space, Ash says it's firmly established in Caulfield as it continues to expand its program and its offering.
So where is Kolenu now? We're at a very exciting time that we have so much to offer the community. We have people who are willing to engage with Judaism in many different levels, and our community has asked us to provide learning opportunities for them. So I think that's something that we definitely want to focus on in the near future, is to be able to provide a platform for Jewish learning.
It's because of congregations such as Kehilat Kolenu that Professor Markus is buoyant about the future of Melbourne's Jewish community and the continuity of its bagel belt.
I can't see the bagel belt suddenly crumbling, becoming stale. At the present time, what I see is it's a more dynamic life. Because if there was this trend of people moving out and so on, I think we'd see more evidence of it. Everything's connected, I think, to everything else. It's not just a factor of house prices. It's a whole range of institutions and opportunities. And as far as I can see, there's an invigoration rather than an alienation.